What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Variety Views. I'm your host, the Variety Vendor, and I'm here to rebook Sting in WWE. Now, I have to ask this question first. Was it really that bad of a run for Sting to be in WWE? Because he did kind of was treated like a big deal when he debuted at Survivor Series 2014, and he came back and the crowd went nuts and everything, and they gave that moment for Sting to the point where I don't think anybody really remembers what was the match or what did he do. The only thing that that most people remember is Sting. And if you ask anybody what you remember most about Survivor Series 2014 as a whole, they would say Sting. Um, then fast forward, and then at Fastlane, everything that he's been doing with Triple H leading up to WrestleMania, and then their match at WrestleMania itself, which I thought was good. I thought that it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of good, stuff going on, a lot of smoke and mirrors, and you can say like, WWE shouldn't have done that. They should have had Sting versus Triple H, but at the same time, they did not know what to expect when it came to Sting because let's remember that he was in his mid 50s at that time. Um, so it's really hard to predict what kind of shape, in ring shape, Sting would be in at that time, especially since he hasn't wrestled a full match from WrestleMania, before WrestleMania 31 since, early 2014 or late 2013. I believe his last match was against EC3 on Impact. And yeah, like the last time we saw him, he could barely move, and his Scorpion Deathlock. I remember like when he used to do the Scorpion Deathlock, he could barely bend his knees, and sit back. So yeah, like that, it was really hard to predict to what to expect. What would happen if he would actually have a big match on a big show like WrestleMania. Um, then later on, he had that match with Seth Rollins that ended his career because of two buckle bombs, and not just that, but I remember he took a nasty bump on one of the announcers' tables, and the back of his head like smacked to one of the monitors, and it was just a sickening thud, and it was like, oh my god, him, going through that match even after that bump, especially that bump, it was like it was really really disheartening. Um, and of course, later on, he announced his retirement. Now he has stated in I believe a Facebook video that he can come back. He can still wrestle. It's just that he doesn't want to. He hasn't had that urge to wrestle again, and you can spin it any way that you want to. You can say that WWE could have killed, maybe have killed his his hope or faith in having a good run, or he just doesn't want to, that he's enjoying life right now. What, it doesn't matter which way you spin it, it's just that he doesn't want to wrestle anymore. So here's how I would rebook him. Maybe this way it would reinvigorate his belief. And not just that, but I think that there's a lot of ways you can use Sting. And he could have definitely been used a lot better, in my opinion. So here's what I would do. We go back to Survivor Series 2014, and instead of having Eric Rowan and Ryback, it was just a mishmash of a weird team. They had like Big Show in one team and stuff like that. So instead of doing all of that, let's just have Big Show be a heel and be with the Authority from the get go, rather than turning on Cena. So you have in Team Authority, you've got Triple H as the captain, you've got Kane, you've got Luke Harper, you've got Big Show, and you've got Rusev. As for Seth Rollins, I would let him have a match, you know, at the show itself. Like maybe let him wrestle. Let's see, I could see him wrestle, you know, maybe for the Intercontinental title or something like that against maybe The Miz or you know I don't know. Like I do see him wrestle someone else. You know, maybe because I do feel like Rollins needed a one-on-one match to kind of prove himself. I think that would have been cool. Maybe yeah, maybe have him wrestle Ryback. You know, one-on-one. I think that would have been a good match. As for the other team that wants to dethrone the Authority, it would be John Cena, captain of his team, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt would be brought in because he wants to go against the Machine, and even by teaming up with John Cena, even though that they had a feud that spanned almost half of the year. Bray is like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, it's an unlikely alliance with John Cena. And of course, the fifth member of that team would be Sting. I think this would be a great way to introduce Sting, and not just that, but having it be in a 5-on-5 match would really hide any flaws, and you can give Sting enough for it to be not only a great match, but also something that a lot of people would pay a lot of good money to see. Seeing Sting, on the apron and everybody just, begging for Sting to get tagged in. And then when he finally does, the place erupts. I think it would be great. It would be great to see. Now, the ending of this match would be, towards the end. I would have Bray Wyatt turn against Team Cena because, that's the whole idea of him, of him being a loner. Not a loner. Basically, he does not listen to. Nobody leads. The leader of the pack. It's always. He's always the guy. He's always the alpha. Basically, and he does not. Listen to orders. He's the one that gives orders. So, somewhere down the line, he turns on Team Cena and walks away. He's like, the buzzards follow me. I do not, follow the buzzards or whatever. So he leaves. And it's just left with Sting and Cena, side by side. The franchise of the WWE and the franchise of WCW going against the Authority. And then they beat the Authority. And that's the last we ever see the Authority. And I would, completely eradicate the Authority. Let them work behind the scenes. While Triple H every once in a while shows up. And this, I think this would be great because this would be like the next night on Raw. Vince McMahon would come out and, Triple H and Stephanie are, ashamed by themselves. And Vince says, so Triple H, you're no longer, you're relieved from your duties. And now you are you're now a full-time wrestler. And, Triple H is so pissed off. He wants to get his power back. And this would lead to the Royal Rumble. Sting, he has a good showing at the Rumble. He has a stare down with the Undertaker. That's your big moment right there. And Triple H shows up, even though that he gets eliminated by Sting, and he's so pissed off, gets back into the ring and beats the shit out of Sting, and then eliminates him, robbing us from that from a great back and forth with the Undertaker. Them having a stare down. Triple H comes in and just beats the shit out of Sting, kind of ending that. So at WrestleMania, you would do Sting versus Triple H, no DQ. You can do the same smoking mirrors, the NWO and DX and all that craziness. Although I think that would have been a great time to bring out Ric Flair. Because I do feel like Ric Flair would have been a great... the guys that I would have brought out would have been Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and perhaps Dean Malenko. Bring those out in the sight of Sting, and also bring out the NWO. And it's like the NWO is like, should we help? The guy that was feuding with us for almost 2 years, or should we help him against the Authority? And then they turn on the Authority and beat the shit out of DX, and it's just left with Sting and Triple H. They fight off. Sting does a planche on the outside, from the top rope onto the pile, so he would be protected. Gets back in the ring, has a back and forth with Triple H a little bit, and then he beats Triple H. So you keep Triple H a little bit protected, but at the same time, Triple H can lose from today to the end of time, and he would still be a legend. It does not matter. It does not matter how many times he loses. So he can still be brought back on top. So Sting really needed this. Have Sting go over, so now he's got 2 wins under his belt. You go to SummerSlam. After this, and this would be the WrestleMania would be the last time we'd see him, and then he would come back during the SummerSlam build. And at SummerSlam, we would have Kane, The Undertaker, and Sting going up against the Wyatt family. And the idea being that Bray defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31. I wouldn't have The Undertaker beat Bray Wyatt. No. I think the whole redemption storyline works better for The Undertaker rather than him coming back and beating Bray Wyatt right away. No, let him struggle for a little bit. Let him lose. Let him lose a few matches. I would have him lose at WrestleMania. Let them go out there for like 10 minutes. It would be an easy match for The Undertaker. Bray goes over. You've put over Bray Wyatt as being the second guy to defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Then Undertaker has, a few matches, every once in a while, like on pay-per-views. And then, loses a few matches, loses to Luke Harper, loses to Braun Strowman, and then you lead to SummerSlam, and it's Undertaker, Kane, and Sting as a dream team going up against the Wyatt family. And the dream team goes over. Sting, Kane, and the Undertaker defeat the Wyatt family, and they have like this amazing celebration. So the Undertaker is like, I've been thinking about this, and I don't feel like I have it. I feel like if it wasn't for Sting or my brother, I wouldn't have vanquished my enemies. So I don't think that I have it anymore. And Sting, comes out and says, bullshit. You do have it. You showed everybody that you are still the Phenom at SummerSlam. And you know what? I'm here to, the reason why I signed with the WWE is not only to vanquish the Authority, but to be in the ring with the Phenom, to be in the ring to what everybody's been calling the mirror of Sting in the WWE. So I'm here, I'm here, Undertaker. I'm here. And you know what? Survivor Series is just around the corner. The same place that you made your debut 25 years ago. The same place I made my debut a year ago. So how about it? You and me, one-on-one. And the fans go chanting yes, 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 yes. And, you might be thinking, like, why not have it at WrestleMania? Why not have it at Survivor Series? This is the thing. You don't need to have all the big matches, the big dream matches at WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, there are matches that are blockbuster, and they need a big stage like Mania. But Survivor Series is also a big 4. And hey, we've had big matches not on WrestleMania. We've seen a Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at SummerSlam. We've seen Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. We've seen Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. We've seen a lot of big matches that are not at WrestleMania. So Sting versus Undertaker makes all the sense in the world to happen at Survivor Series. The 25-year anniversary, have it at Survivor Series. It would make all the sense in the world. And not just that, but you have a match that would go on last, and it would deserve to go on last, and nobody would, bat an eyelash. Because at WrestleMania, I feel like, it should be the Royal Rumble winner versus the champion of their brand at the main event of WrestleMania. As for Survivor Series, it should be, the biggest match possible. And I think that this would be the biggest match possible for that show of that year. Undertaker versus Sting. I would have Undertaker go over. This would be, the reinvigoration of the Undertaker. This would be Undertaker finally, settling the score and finally coming back on top. And you do the whole thing with him coming out and that whole, which I absolutely love, that hologram, right behind him in that coffin with all the iterations of the Undertaker, all the gimmicks that the Undertaker went through since his debut in WWE. I love that. You do the same thing for the Undertaker, and you can do the same thing for Sting. All the iterations that Sting went through, the Surfer Sting, the Crow Sting, the NWO Sting, all those iterations, and then you have them face off in a classic match that would go on for like 15 minutes. Let them have a good 15-minute match, doing all their famous spots, and Undertaker goes over, and at the end they shake hands, and it's an awesome moment. Pretty easy. Then we go to 2016, and you can bring Sting back for Royal Rumble, if you want to, although it's not really that important. You could do that. It would be a good moment, but at the same time, I think it's not really needed. Although letting him be in the final two would be cool. Would be cool to see. But I don't know if I would do that. At WrestleMania, I would have Sting against Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt vanquished The Undertaker at the WrestleMania prior, and now he's facing another icon in Sting, and he beat Sting. So that's another feather in the cap of Bray Wyatt. You've used Sting to his full potential to create new stars, and not just to create new stars, but to elevate stars into becoming bigger stars. And from then on, you can do other stuff with Sting. Like, if, and that is only if, that Sting has, the passion to continue to wrestle. And I feel like him putting over younger guys would really make him motivated into lacing up his boots again and again and again, no matter how old he gets. He can be like this generation's Ric Flair, where he was putting over everybody. And, every once in a while, you give him a little, you give him a victory here and there to rejuvenate his win-loss record to the point where you can take him seriously again. Because if you have him lose all the time, then it's like, it's not that important. He can't really put over anybody if he keeps on losing. But if he wins every once in a while, then somebody beating him means that much more. So you can put the U.S. title on him in 2016, like at SummerSlam. Let him win the U.S. title, and then, have big matches with guys like Dolph Ziggler, with guys like, Nakamura, or, Samoa Joe, all these guys, and, put them over. Or even guys like Zack Ryder and Ty Dillinger and, the Drifter, or Jason Jordan, or Rusev. Even by losing to Sting, there would still be, I think them getting a rub from a really good match with Sting would mean that much more than them actually just beating Sting in like less than 5 minutes. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Rate, comment, favorite. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Share it with your friends. Share it with everybody. And check out my next video if we talk about something else.